Good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. Once again, this is Dre, Cuts by Dre, New Styles Mobile Barber, and I'm back for another episode on my continued review of the Babyliss Pro Limited FX, that nice navy blue, shiny, metallic look. Yeah, I did an open boxing on my last episode. It went a little bit too long, so I wanted to split the two up. Today, I'm going to go out there on the floor, and I'm going to do a demo cut with these two clippers, and I'm going to let y'all know how they cut. You know, they've been out for a little while. I'm not the first to do a review on them, but it always helps to get, another perspective. One thing I like to say is they are the quietest. These right here are the quietest clippers, cordless clippers that I've ever had. Had quite a few cordless clippers. I'm going to be doing some reviews on some other ones, but I've never had a pair of cordless clippers this quiet. And the quietness of a clipper is very important to me because I like to cut by hearing as well as sight. When you can hear the hair comes off, it also gives you a gauge of how much hair you're cutting. So I think that's very important to have a quiet clipper. Take my hat off to Babyliss for making this clipper quiet. Now the edges aren't as quiet, but you're just shaping up with these. You're not using these at far more as you're using these. You're using these a lot more. So the quietness of these are excellent. Before I get started today, I want to do something new. I want to introduce my tip of the day. I'm going to do that in front of all my videos from here on out. I used to do it. I'm going to bring it back. Then we're going to get into the show. The tip of the day, simple. I like to keep it simple. Do not let anybody convince you or talk you or mold you into something that you are not. You know what you're fully capable of. I'm talking about you barbers out there. I'm talking about you aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring business owners. Don't let your professors, don't let your teachers, don't even let your parents convince you or to mold you into something that you're not. Only you know what you're fully capable of. You and God, the man upstairs. I hope you got a belief in God, a strong faith, because that will take you a long way in your career, in your business, in your life. But definitely, don't let nobody put you in their mold. You know what you're capable of doing inside, and only you and God know how far that you are willing to take it. So, the tip of the day is simple. Make sure you determine your own destiny. Make sure you work as hard as you can to get to where you want to go. Listen to that small voice inside that's telling you to do this. Of course, take advice. I'm not saying don't take advice from your professors, from friends and family, parents. Definitely take advice from people, but always take that advice with an open ear and a closed ear. Make sure you decipher what's best for you, because only you will determine how far you're taking in this world. So you barbers out there, get out here, do your thing. Go out here and open up some shops. Go out there and make that money. Increase your skills, increase your ability, increase your clientele. And hey, that's my tip of the day. So once we come back from my intro, we're going to get out there on the floor and we're going to demonstrate these babies right here. And we're going to see how they cut. All right, so I'll be right back after the intro.
Number one of my class.
All right, so we're out on the floor and I'm cutting this young gentleman's hair. First time I'm using these clippers, so I want to pretty much give you my take on them. I'm giving this guy a tempo fade, an afro tempo fade. Right now I'm using the Babyliss Pro FXs. It has the fade blade on it, the blade that came with it. I didn't adjust the blade or anything, straight out the box. What I do love about these clippers is that they are very sharp. I compare them to the Andes Masters, the corded version, the Andes Masters. They are very sharp and they're not forgiving at all. You can't make mistakes with these clippers because of how sharp the blade is. When I say make mistakes, sometimes when you're cutting kind of fast, like myself, I'm a kind of a fast barber. So if you go up just a little bit too much, it's going to show. It's going to take some hair out real easily, and then you might have to bring your fade up a little bit higher or smoothing out an area just a little bit longer than you normally would take because of how sharp these clippers are. So that's one thing that I would say, beware of that. They are very sharp. They're excellent for doing afros. I love them on this particular haircut as far as the afro. What I'm doing now is pretty much giving him a temple fade. He came in, as you can see it, first and foremost, make sure you comb the hair out, wash the hair if possible, to get the best cut possible. He came in, hair was washed, I picked it out real good and started this cut pretty much. He wanted a temple fade, beard trim, and a lineup. One way to practice on doing temple fades for some of y'all up and coming, your new barbers, get you a basketball or get you a soccer ball and just practice running the clippers around that ball, because that's pretty much what you're doing when you're doing an afro. You want it to be as round as possible. You want to pick it out a few times. Of course, pick it out at the beginning, then come back, trim it down, pick it out again, then trim it down. And I like to pick mine out 2 times, no more than 2 times, because the more you pick it out, the more hair you're going to cut off. And if the customer doesn't want that much hair cut off, you can't continue to keep picking an afro out over and over again, because you're going to keep cutting hair off. And each time you pick it out, it's not going to be perfectly round every time. That's just how our naturally curly hair is, So pick it out enough times to get that shape where you want it, and then start cutting, as you see. Right now I'm fading out the back. This particular cut takes about 30 minutes. I probably shoot through the video a little bit faster. Normally I like to do my videos in real time, but this one here I probably skip through it so that this video is not too long. So with these clippers right here, like I was saying, I loved how they cut. They cut nice and sharp. They give you a really detailed cut, and they're quiet. They're quiet, so I can actually hear the hair coming off the head as well as seeing it come off. That's one thing I love about these clippers, See, I'm picking them out again as I trim them down. This is my second pick out. I trim them down a little. I'll try to get that round shape as possible. Then I'll pick them out again. Then we'll pretty much start over on the top and try to get that round as possible effect as you can, based on the contour of their head as well. You never want to put a guard on your clippers when you're cutting an afro. You never want to do that. You have the free hand. So to get your free hand skills up, get you a basketball or get you a soccer ball and practice trimming over that, Just practice going around that basketball with a steady hand, and you'll see, it's pretty much the same principle when you're cutting the hair. You're just trying to follow the basic mold, the basic hair, their head, the basic mold of their head, basically. And you're also keeping the eye on their head so that you don't cut too close on one side or get too far in or potentially give them a bald spot, So you got to look out for that. I'm not the type of barber that use a lot of steps, I've been cutting for so long, I kind of go through the haircut as I see it. I do start off with the temple fade, as you can see, fading up around the sides, the ears, and then the back. But I'm not the type of barber that really goes from left side, then the right side, and then the 1 guard, then the 2 guard. I pretty much cut as I see, as I see fit. So I may do one side, and then I may spin around, and then I may do the other side, or vice versa. Or sometimes I might, go through it in a few steps. As you can see here, I'm just going around the back, molding that, trying to get it at a decent, making it even all over. This particular client did want about 1 inch cut off, so I wasn't worried about picking it out too many times and cutting too much hair off. I knew he wanted about 1 inch off, so I was able to pick his hair a few times and not be concerned with taking it too low. But he did want to keep that length. As you can see, I'm not cutting the length down. I'm just trimming over it lightly, molding it into the contour as round as possible. And these Babyliss clippers, I can say they are excellent for that. They are excellent for that. They're extremely sharp. I didn't want to use any other clippers except for these that I'm doing a review on. But I can say, as I got further into the cut, when it was time for me to do the shape up, I did have to switch to my Gold FXs. The zero gapping, I didn't get these particular clippers as sharp as I would like. Zero gapping them, not the ones I'm using now, but the edges. So I had to go back to my Gold FXs to get this client the sharpest cut possible. So in that regard, some of y'all chime in, let me know, are these the best clippers to actually edge up with? I do see some people on YouTube using these clippers to do shape ups, but I wasn't particularly happy with the performance of how they shaped my client up. So I did go back to my FXs. As you can see here, I'm still working on the roundness, Very important with an afro. You got to take your time. You can't rush an afro. If you want it to look nice, sharp, clean, you have to take your time. I'm gonna skip through this a little bit, and as you can see, I'm about 10 minutes in, and I'm still shaping the top. I've combed it out a few times, picked it out a few times, and I'm still giving them that shape, that desired round shape, without cutting too much off, just lightly trimming it as we go through. I'm gonna skip a little further up in the video, and as you can see, I'm tapering them up, working on that tempo fade. As you can see, I go back and forth. I went from the top, then I go back down to the sides, and I like to do that because I guess when you've been cutting a lot of hair, in a day, not over time, over years, but I'm talking about in the same day. When you've been cutting a lot of clients, your eyes, start to play tricks on you, getting tired and everything. So I like to do a part, and then I'll stop, and then I'll go to, like you see here, I'm down working on this beard. Then I'll go up and hit the fade a little bit more just to refocus my eyes, because it's good to do that from time to time, especially if it's, as you can see, it's nighttime now. So the day is about over. This was my last client of the day, so I had already been cutting, a number of heads. So to refocus those eyes, I like to jump around, spin the client around, get my eyes refocused, and then I can spin back to a spot, and that way it'll allow me to see, to cut a little bit better from a different perspective. As you can see now, I'm fading the back out. These clippers do work well. I love the guards. I love that half guard. They snap on nice and tight. Very effective, and they are very fast faders. It doesn't take a long time to fade at all with these clippers. You can see I am at the 15-minute mark, and I pretty much lightly faded the back out, and a light tempo fade on the sides. Most of the time spent on this particular client was the afro, because you want that to be perfect. You want your clients to come back, you are performing a work of art, a masterpiece. So you want your masterpiece, when it goes on display out there in the world, you want it to be perfect. So I encourage all you up and coming barbers and some of the vets out there, man, take your time as well as going as fast as you possibly can, but definitely make sure you get that cut perfect to your liking before you let that client go. And these clippers, I really like them. I do believe they will be my go-to clippers for trimming up. Maybe not my go-to fade clippers. I got to use them a little bit more to see if I'm going to like to fade with them every day. Because of the sharpness, I kind of tend to fall back on them just a little bit, only because they're so sharp that, they're easy to make a mistake with, so you'd be fixing your haircut as well as cutting the client at the same time. So that's one thing that, I wanted to point out about these clippers. So as I skip through the haircut here, I'm getting to the shape up part. And like I was telling you, I used my Gold FXs on this client shape up because I wasn't really satisfied with the cutting of the limited edition, the blue ones, the navy blue ones. I wasn't satisfied with how I set the blade. I see other barbers on YouTube using this clipper, so I assume that it's a good shape up blade. I assume it gives you a nice crispy cut. Mine seemed kind of dull, so I wanted to make sure this client was sharp. So I went back to my FXs. I'm not knocking that edger. I'm sure that, you know, some people might can chime in and say that's an excellent edger. But for my review, that edger was not up to par with my original gold FXs. That is the different blade, that black tempered blade that they put on there. I'm not sure if I'm feeling that blade yet. I got to do some adjustments to it and see if it turns out to be what I hope it's going to be. But those FXs there, you know, I've been using them for some time, and I've changed the blade multiple times throughout the life of that clipper, and each time I change the blade, I get the same exact cut, and that's what I'm looking for, consistency. I don't want to start off with a sharp blade, and then when it gets dull and I got to get a new blade, it cuts totally different. You want a clipper that pretty much cuts the same each time you put a new blade on it, and I found that to be true with these gold FXs. So I do stick with them when it comes down to the cordless version. Now, my corded clippers that I edge up with, the T outliners are still my go-to for corded clippers to outline, the T outliners and the regular outliner 2s. Those are my go-to for cord clippers. Every time I change those blades as well, they give you the same cut every time. So as you can see, I'm shaping his beard up, giving him a nice shape up around the beard. We're going to shoot a little bit forward, still working on the beard around here. And this particular part right here, this is where I'm giving him a little bit of highlight. You know, it's accompanied out there, I think it's titanium red. You know, this particular highlight comes in a can, relatively inexpensive. I'm not knocking anybody else. All the companies out there that's putting out products, man, I take my hat off to them. I have supported you all. I've bought everybody's products because I'm big on supporting my people. But this particular product right here, in the can was pretty inexpensive. I think it's around about $6 for the can. And they're pretty inexpensive, and it gives you a nice, as you can see, it gives you a nice sharp line, doesn't take a lot of product, and it's waterproof and doesn't wash off quick. So I like to finish my customers off with that. And as you can see, I mean, it goes on pretty good. So let me speed up kind of like towards the end so you can see the finished product. Right here, I am using the blue ones there. I did clean them up a little bit, but we are about finished with this client, and we're about at the 28, 29 minute mark. So I'll show you some other pictures once it's finished. Oh yeah, definitely. Before you finish any afro or any cut there, you always got to come back with the shears and clean them up with the shears, because you'll find some hairs that the clippers just can't get or won't get, but the shears will definitely clean that haircut up. I always like to finish off all my haircuts with shears, even if it's a low cut. I like to finish off with those shears. So definitely finish your haircuts off with the shears. Excuse me, you know, we live here, so we're gonna get a little bit of interruptions, but that's my review on these clippers, man. I give them out of 5 stars, I say I would give them about, 4 out of 5 stars. And hopefully once I get those edges cutting the way I want them to cut, then hopefully, maybe 4.5 stars, but we're about finished with this customer right here, this client. As you can see, we finished edging them up. And that's about it right there. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video right here of the review of the Babyliss Pro FX Limited Plus Edition. Make sure you check out my next video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the channel. Make sure you let people know about what's going on. And I just want to thank y'all for checking me out, and I will see you in the next video. Before we go, I'm just going to give you some more pictures of the finished cut in this particular review. Once again, thanks a lot for checking me out. This is Cuts by Dre, New Styles Mobile Barber. For all my customers out there that's checking out this video, the code for this video to get $5 off your next appointment is Babyliss. That's Babyliss, Babyliss. Put that in on the coupon code section when you're checking out for your haircut appointment, and you will receive $5 off your next appointment. Once again, thanks for checking me out. Make sure you check out the next episode. Make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you tell somebody. And I want to thank you. Cuts by Dre, New Styles Mobile Barber.